Hello, welcome to the Healthy Alternatives podcast. I am Dr. Christine Sauer with DocChristine.com. Today's show is a recording of my radio show of the same name. Enjoy! Good afternoon, this is Dr. Christine Sauer, your host of the show Healthy Alternatives here on 97.5 CIOE FM with live stream on communityradio.ca every Thursday at 12 noon Atlantic Standard Time. Thanks for tuning in today. In this show, I will talk mostly with guests about all aspects of health, healthcare and wellness, from conventional to alternative and everything in between. My mission for this radio show is to help change people's lives for the better by informing them about different options to get and stay healthy and well so they can choose for themselves which options might work in their case. And if you feel you are stuck in a dark place, I want to tell you there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Don't give up. I'm asked very often to give a little bit more background information about nutritional supplements, which ones are good to take, what the benefits and maybe dangers are. So we are now giving a little series of structured shows, going deeper into it. And today, my fellow health coach, Jennifer Gauguin, and myself will be talking about magnesium.
Magnesium, thanks, exactly. I'm back again.
Wonderful. Always a pleasure to chat.
It's always enlightening. So magnesium. Why are we magnesium deficient, and how would we know if we're magnesium deficient?
That is a very good question.
Mm-hmm.
And magnesium is one of the supplements that, like calcium, is one of the main structural elements in the body.
Okay.
Actually, each cell needs magnesium to function. The problem is that 95% of magnesium is actually in your cells.
Okay.
So even if the doctor takes a blood sample and measures your magnesium, it's usually measured in the serum.
Okay.
And even if that comes back normal, that just means that your body regulates it properly, or you're not extremely deficient. It doesn't say anything about the how much is in the cells and in your brain.
Okay.
And magnesium is essential for the creation of our energy molecules, ATP,
right,
for our heart muscles, for the proper formation of bones and teeth.
Okay.
It's needed for the blood vessels to be able to relax, and that's why magnesium deficiency can cause vasospastic angina, spasms of the coronary arteries that feel like angina, but really it's a sign of magnesium deficiency.
Wow.
It can cause those angina attacks can feel like a heart attack.
Right. I've heard that.
Yeah.
I haven't experienced it, thankfully, but I've heard that.
It's quite common, more common than people think. It also helps with regulation of blood sugar levels.
Okay.
It helps to activate muscles and nerves, prevents muscle cramps.
Okay. So like restless legs?
Restless legs can be a sign of magnesium deficiency. There's other reasons for it, but it's always a factor to look for.
Right.
And it helps for every cell generation.
Okay.
You need it also for your brain because every neurotransmitter, like the serotonin, needs magnesium as a cofactor. And people are deficient nowadays because the regular food doesn't contain much magnesium anymore.
Right, okay.
We get magnesium mostly from plants because magnesium in the plants is like iron for our blood.
Right.
The chlorophyll in plants, the green pigment, has in its center magnesium. Like our iron molecule, the hemoglobin in the blood, has in its center iron. Those two molecules are very similar, actually. Right. It's interesting. And so we get it mostly from plants. But how are plants fertilized nowadays?
Right. Exactly.
Most of the time they use artificial fertilizer. It does not contain magnesium.
Okay.
So the plants, the longer they grow in one plot, the soil gets completely depleted of it.
Exactly, for sure. So what can we? I'm hensing that you have a solution here for us.
Well, if we have a garden, I always put in our vegetable garden,
Okay.
I put some Epsom salt, which is actually magnesium sulfate.
Okay.
In the winter, before the garden goes to rest, a good handful of magnesium, of
Okay.
Epsom salts, which contains magnesium and sulfate. And sulfate is important for us and the plants because
Okay.
it's part of most detoxification systems.
And you would only do this, you said, like in the fall.
I would do it in the fall. If
Okay.
you want to do it early, you have to dissolve it in some water.
Okay.
Because otherwise the plants may get burned. Like from
okay.
any fertilizer what you use too much.
Okay. Okay.
It is often in organic soils still not enough because organic soils, although better, are sometimes just regenerated, depleted soils.
Okay.
And if they're not tested and repleted,
Right. They're going to be lacking.
they're going to be lacking. And there's another problem that we have why we won't get magnesium as much as we need, and that it's not absorbed. For one, it's not in our food.
Okay.
It's not absorbed well, and the enzymes that can utilize magnesium break down. And it needs to be transported to work in the brain through the brain-blood barrier.
Okay.
And if we are too toxic,
Which
that
a lot of us
barrier-
are, unfortunately.
that barrier gets leaky too.
So what can we do to help that?
The best source is always really real food.
Of course.
And what's food that's high in magnesium?
That's a good question. I was actually going to ask you the same thing.
Mostly everything that's green.
Okay.
Green
Okay.
leafy vegetables.
It's always always a good guess.
vegetables.
Right.
They're so good for you. Because magnesium often the absorption gets limited by
Okay.
certain medications. For example,
That's right.
stress, lack of sleep,
Right.
alcohol consumption, prescription drugs like statins for cholesterol drugs,
Okay.
diuretics, water pills, fluoride
Right.
in the drinking water
Yep.
and in drugs such as fluoroquinolone antibiotics.
Okay.
There is some. And also the birth control pill,
Ah. Okay.
a very common drug mugger.
Really? So
Yeah.
that has fluoride.
Hmm.
I never knew that.
And it's interesting, you can see when you have an elevated insulin level in your blood, you're very likely magnesium deficient too.
Wow.
Because we need it for the insulin too.
Interesting.
Oh, we need magnesium everywhere. It's the same for the digestion.
Okay.
We can, when we have autoimmune diseases, we might need magnesium. That may be all we need.
So is this something that we can get properly tested for?
The only way really to test for magnesium levels in the body is in the cells. And
Okay.
there's a test for it in the red blood cells.
Okay.
Which is not that cheap. And some doctors refuse to have it done on the system.
Okay.
There is an alternative, which we do sometimes. It's a hair mineral analysis,
Right,
which
okay.
correlates quite well.
Okay.
So that's a good alternative. And of course, it's not paid by
Right.
the health system,
That's right.
but it's not that expensive.
Okay.
So if you have any numbness and tingling, personality changes,
Okay.
sometimes you have sweating on the forehead can be a sign. If you have abnormal heart rhythm, coronary spasms, sometimes you have angina feelings and
Right.
you don't know, is it a heart attack or not? And they go to the hospital and they tell them, oh no, all okay, it's just in your head.
Right.
It
A
may
panic
be-
attack or
Yeah, it may be you need magnesium.
Okay.
And any cramps, muscle cramps or whatever cramps, magnesium's number one to address them. There's other factors that you need.
Right.
For example, trace minerals.
Okay.
So if you're already taking magnesium in a suitable form, and we'll take about suitable form. We talk a little bit about the chemistry in the next half.
Right.
And if you do, you might be needing trace minerals like vanadium, molybdenum. Of course, potassium can play an important role, and it's not just in bananas, it's in all plant foods.
Right.
And bananas are actually quite high in sugar, so it's better to get your potassium from vegetables. Always vegetables.
Always the green
Eat your vegetables. Not just the green leafy, any vegetables.
That's right.
Eat your vegetables in any form you like, and as you said, we like to have fun with it in vegetables.
Exactly.
And I remember my kale chips. I took a recipe from the internet, and my husband tried them, and he likes potato chips. And he tried them. It was just salt and something, and I baked them, and he said, "Yuck." So I modified it a little bit, and added some garlic and even Parmesan cheese.
Exactly, I've heard that.
And lemon juice and all kinds of good spices, and baked them.
Right.
And I put them to my husband. He tried them, and he said, he ate them all.
Really?
They're so tasty. I have the recipe on our website. It's delicious. Super kale chip. My super kale chip. Anybody that wants the recipes, contact us. I'll happy to give it to them.
Tons of recipes.
Oh, and it's so good. I mean, that's the form that I like my kale best, either as a spinach or a salad.
And actually, speaking of the kale chips, one of the, there's different types of kale. Typically, I buy like the curly, and I've tried to make kale chips from them before, but they just really burn and almost disintegrate. So if you get like the larger, flatter,
I think it's called dinosaur kale.
It might be. That's right. That's right.
Or black kale.
Black kale.
Yeah. There's more broad and more flat.
Exactly.
It's easier to make them with then.
For the chips.
I've tried curly kale. It works. You just have to massage it earlier, a little longer, so it flattens out.
Maybe that's what I was missing.
And in the beginning, I did like in the recipes that you get from the internet, I turned them around after 10. It's not necessary. I don't.
Right. Okay.
That's in my recipe. I just bake them until they're crisp. That's it. It's easy to do, and it's fast, and it's tasty.
Oh, I've got some Parmesan cheese in the fridge, so I think
I'll give the recipe.
On my to-do list.
Do that. They are so good, and they last long. And if put them in a glass container, and if there's some left and they get limp, just put them in a 275 oven, bake them again for a minute, and they get crispy again.
Good idea.
Oh, they are so good.
Make me hungry.
That's a nice end for the first half of our broadcast here on 97.5 CIOE FM Community Radio. Please tune in after the commercial break for more about kale. No, not about kale. Magnesium. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to Healthy Alternatives here on 97.5 CIOE FM or on the web at communityradio.ca. I'm your host, Dr. Christine Sauer, and today my fellow health coach, Jennifer Gauguin, and I are talking about magnesium. And I just wanted to mention there's an excellent book for those that really want to go in depth with magnesium and read all about the potential benefits and all about really what it does and how you can recognize a deficiency. I think she has more than 100 reasons.
Wow.
And it's Dr. Carolyn Dean, Carolyn Dean. She's a medical and naturopathic doctor, just like myself, and she wrote an excellent book. It's called The Magnesium Miracle.
Okay.
Everybody that wants to know more about it, I recommend that you get it. It's not that bad as a Kindle book or on Amazon. It's not very expensive, and it's really very full of good content.
I'm gonna make a note of that myself to look at. So magnesium, I've noticed there's so many different types. There's, I think, about 9 different types.
There's lots of different kinds of magnesium.
Oxide, citrate, lactate, sulfate.
Yeah, which one to choose?
Yeah, exactly. How
Let's
do you know you're getting the right one?
Well, let's go over the different kinds. Well known is magnesium oxide or milk of magnesia.
Right, exactly. So,
which is a non-chelated type of magnesium. It contains 60% magnesium, but it does not get resorbed. It increases, actually, in the bowel, it increases that the bowel makes more water.
okay.
And that's why it has laxative properties.
Ah, okay.
And that's why when you get milk of magnesia, it is a mild laxative.
And that also works for heartburn as well?
Yes.
Right.
Because it neutralizes the acid. But my theory of heartburn is that's really not the acid most of the time. It's
That's
a dysfunction of the sphincter
Right.
between the esophagus, the food tube, and the stomach. And that has many reasons besides acid.
Yes.
Because it's interesting that more older people have heartburn, but the older you get, the stomach acid gets lower.
Right. Right.
So, and there is diseases where the stomach acid is by inheritance very high,
Okay.
and that's a classical case for those omeprazole or all those old drugs for
Okay.
stomach. But everybody else, it's not the acid. Yes, acid blocker helps,
Right.
because of course when the acid goes back, because the muscle that prevents it from doing is loose,
Right. Yeah.
you get problems. And
Makes sense.
to reduce the acid helps some, but it makes other problem, among others,
Okay.
the absorption of nutrients is inhibited.
Okay.
So that's the same as if when you are urine incontinent, instead of fixing that little sphincter and
Right.
helping with exercises to not leak urine,
Right.
you just dry out the urine. That's the same. I
Okay.
wouldn't do that. It's better to fix it.
Right, exactly.
So then we have magnesium citrate,
Okay.
which is another very cost-effective supplement.
Okay.
And it has mostly laxative properties, but some get also absorbed.
Okay.
And for those that tend to be constipated, it may be a good option.
Okay, so for someone that doesn't want to take like an over-the-counter laxative,
Right.
they could get some magnesium citrate.
Magnesium oxide,
Okay.
magnesium citrate.
Okay.
And even mix it with some vitamin C, preferably as
Right.
powder. That is a very effective laxative
Okay.
and all
Okay.
natural and gives you nutrients instead
So much
of
better
so
option.
much better option. Yeah, and magnesium citrate is also used in the bowel prep before colonoscopies.
Oh, okay.
And they give you a pure magnesium citrate solution. That's that X-Prep bar. But you
Okay.
get that bottle
Okay.
that you drink, and then you
Oh,
spend
yes.
the rest of the night on the toilet.
Right. Yes, I haven't had the pleasure of having a.
I did. It's not as bad as people think, but it's not pleasurable.
Yeah, it's I've watched my parents suffer through those for quite a while. So
Oh, when it's well done, it's not that bad.
No,
it's
that's
always
true.
No fun. Then a form that's in everybody's mouth, hopefully,
Okay.
is the magnesium glycinate
okay,
or bisglycinate. That's the chemical
that's
form.
what I'm taking right now.
That's a very good and not too expensive supplement, and it's a chelated form of magnesium. That means it's bound to an organic acid to be easier to be absorbed by the body.
Okay,
Because magnesium is water soluble, and for the body to absorb it, it has to bind it to something so we can absorb it. And it's actually tends to provide the highest level of absorption and bioavailability, and is ideal for those who are trying to correct the deficiency.
okay. So just for me, like from a personal point of view, like this is a good one to take. Just if you have an overall low magnesium level, or is
Yeah,
it targeted for one specific thing? Or
No. It's good to correct low magnesium in the body.
Okay.
And there's another one actually on the market that may even be better. It's a threonate, but it's quite costly.
Okay.
And it's quite new. It appears promising because it penetrates better through the mitochondrial membrane.
Right.
So it may be the best on the market, but it is so expensive that it's quite prohibitive. It's about twice expensive as a glycinate, but it may be better later on.
Okay.
And of course, in the first half, we talked about the sulfite, magnesium sulfate.
Right, or Epsom salts.
Epsom salts.
Right.
And sprinkle it in the garden or for yourself.
Exactly.
If you like to have a bath,
for sure,
put 1 to 2 cups magnesium sulfate, Epsom salts in your bathtub.
Yep.
For an adult, children is less.
Yes, exactly.
And enjoy a 10-15 minute nice warm relaxing bath in the evening, and at the same time it gets absorbed through the skin.
Right.
And for those that are very sensitive with their bowels and even get laxative effect from glycinate, that may be an option.
I've got to try that with my son.
Magnesium chloride is often used in magnesium oils that you use on the skin.
Okay.
And when it's done well, it doesn't burn because magnesium oil can burn when the magnesium penetrates the skin.
Okay.
So that's another form.
I don't know if I've heard of magnesium oil before.
Yeah, you can actually get it in some health food stores. It's made locally and
it's for topical use?
It's for topical use on the skin.
Okay.
And magnesium sulfate in my books is even better than magnesium chloride because we need the sulfate for detox, and many people nowadays don't eat enough sulfur-containing fruits, vegetables. Eggs contain sulfur because that's rotten eggs.
That's right.
That is a sulfur compound, rotten egg smell.
That's right.
Then there's other forms that are used less often, like lactate is better absorption, but than oxide, but still. And taurate is a combination of magnesium and taurine. It has a little calming effect. Taurine is a supplement that is very important for your mind and brain.
Okay, so...
And it's actually, taurine is from taurus. It's the Latin word for steer.
Okay.
And it is found in in bile.
In your liver?
Bile. In your liver.
Okay.
In your bile. In meat.
Right.
So those, either you eat eggs or meat, and that will help you get taurine. And it's often used as an energy drink component too. Okay. It's quite interesting.
I've read that magnesium is also good to help with anxiety issues, sleep issues. So what form would you recommend for people that may want to try that?
I would recommend the glycinate.
Okay.
Primarily. And if they want to try it, the threonate is a good option because it goes well in the brain. And even the taurate, if you don't want to take the taurine supplement separately. And don't take it as Red Bull, which contains taurine. That's where the bull comes in.
Right.
From Taurus to bull.
Yeah.
It contains a lot of taurine, and it gives you mental energy.
Ah.
So taurine can be an energy generator. And we'll talk about supplements for energy later. It's one of my favorite subjects.
Oh, for sure. It's a good one.
Now, let's see. Magnesium, we need enough. And a blood test won't show it unless you look it in the erythrocytes, in the red blood cells. A hair mineral, not follicle, a mineral test. You just have to cut the hair in the right place.
Right, exactly.
You don't have to rip them, so that's good to know. So most people are magnesium deficient, especially older people.
Okay.
So it's an important part of your orchestra symphony of supplements and food. Well, Thanks a lot, Jennifer. This brings me to the end of today's show. I know we could talk for hours about magnesium because it's so important.
Exactly.
And if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, please don't hesitate to contact us. We are always happy to help. My email here is Christine, CHRISTINE @communityradio.ca, or contact me through our website, docchristine.com. I'm always grateful for any feedback. I also want to extend a special thank you to today's producer, Jim Wombold. Thanks, Jim. And you might not know this, but this here is a volunteer-run, non-profit radio station, and we even have an art gallery. If you're local and you'd like to drop in, we're at 11 Glendale Avenue in Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia. Thank you all for listening to Healthy Alternatives. I'm your host, Dr. Christine Sauer. Tune in next Thursday at noon on 97.5 CIOE FM or on communityradio.ca with live stream on communityradio.ca for the next episode. Goodbye and have a great day.